Hi, Dr. Rania.
Hi.
I am so sorry about that. We seem to have a bit of a loop. Let me just exit on the other gadget. Okay, I'm so sorry about that. I had a bit of a technical challenge on my end. The power went just as we We're also joined by Kunle Palemo, and we're joined by Dr. Rania Lampou, brought together today by GYMHA, Global Youth Mental Health Awareness, based in Australia. It is the 16th of February 2023, and we are talking about engaging with young people to promote healthy mental well-being. Dr. Rania Lampou is based in Greece, and she is a global educator, a STEM instructor. She's also a member of the Greek Astronomy and Space Company, as well as the Greek Ministry of Education and Religious Affairs, as well as being a GYMHA board member and assistant training manager. We're joined here as well by Kunle Palemo, again, not a stranger to GYMHA activities. Kunle is a global goodwill ambassador. He's also a global mental health strategist, as well as the founder at Live and Not Die. He is also the CEO at Control Headquarters International Limited. Thank you both for joining me today on the platform as we discuss another very key issue around mental health awareness, especially among the youth. Dr. Rania, can we hear from you just for a moment to confirm that we are able to hear each other? Perhaps you want to greet the audience?
I'm here. I'm here. Greetings.
Thank
Greetings
you.
from
And
Greece.
Kunle, could we get any word from you? Are you able to hear me clearly? Okay, so we have some connectivity issues going on today. I ask you all to be patient with us, but I want to thank you all for joining me. I think Kunle is chiming in now. Kunle, are you able to hear me clearly? I'm going to take that as a yes. Okay, I cannot hear you at all, Kunle. I don't know if it's your volume that needs adjusting. Maybe you can take a look at that. But for now, Dr. Rania, let's talk about this issue of speaking to the youth about mental health wellness, and how do we raise awareness around them, and why is it even important to engage young people to promote healthy mental well-being? What are your thoughts around the topic we brought to the discussion today?
Okay, greetings from Greece. Thank you very much for this kind invitation. As you said, I am an educator, and my perspective will be educationalist. And why? Because I see that all my colleagues here, especially during the after COVID pandemic, have great difficulties in handling these cases. And there is new challenges that have emerged, because now we are not only, as teachers, input providers, we're not only the knowledge transfer, those who transfer the knowledge, but we have assumed multiple roles at the same time. We are facilitators, we are guides, we are mentors, and we are psychologists. So, especially among young children, when we talk about what kind of these disorders, anxiety, depression, suicide, and post-traumatic stress, many obsessive compulsive disorders, all this during the COVID pandemic have, of course, a great impact on their academic performance of the students. Apart from this, I want to say something else, that we belong to a new generation. And this student face many new challenges that didn't exist before. They are exposed to cyber. This is cyber world. For instance, here in Greece, I want to say that children and students are much more difficult to handle than it was some years before. And of course, social media and all these challenges and dangers that internet expose students to, of course, are one of the main causes. So here in Greece, for instance, we have many cases of cyberbullying, many cases of gender-based violence, and many cases also for students who come from divorced parents. All these factors contribute to a dramatic rise in mental health problems among students, among children. So I think that this new challenges for teachers is to think about mental health, first of all, as an important component of a child being ready to learn. Because if a child is experiencing mental health problems, he or she will be likely to have trouble focusing in school. We need to learn how to know the warning signs of mental illnesses and take note of this in our students and seek a consultation from the school mental health professionals when we have concerns. Psychological education testing also might be necessary. And also, I think that, I mentioned about the COVID pandemic, and according to the World Health Organization, 1 in 7, 10 from 19 years old young person experiences a mental disorder. So the world is facing this mental health crisis for children and adolescents, and at the same time, a historical underfunding, because many of these children don't have the necessary resources, they don't have the necessary experts to turn to, and they desperately need for help. So I think that this is more or less the context for today. A mental health crisis needs to be handled, and it's urgent, I think, especially for teachers, because our students have become very, very difficult to handle.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, sorry about that. I really had some connectivity issues going on here. Okay, I apologize for that. And it's good to see you back with us, Kunle, as well. Rania, thank you so much for taking us through those challenges and identifying some of the key mental health issues our youth are facing. Tell me something, Kunle. What are your thoughts? How do we even begin this conversation with
young people? Okay. I think if I must hear that question correctly, how do we begin the conversation with young people? Dr. Rania had absolutely and explicitly, giving us the reason why it's so important to create these conversations among the youth about mental health, stemming from the global mental health crisis. And she had really outlined that. In creating the conversation among the youth, it is very important to note the fact that it's important to first and foremost create a safe space for them whereby they could come and onboarding and then open up and create mental health candor. It is said that 1/3 of young people globally are somehow not coming out to talk about their mental health issue. So that means 1 in 3, and that's huge. And the reason is traceable to a whole lot of things: stigmatization, poor mental health awareness, and the fact that we still are not even proud enough to seek for help when we are having mental health related issues as a result of what some of us have grown up to seeing, to being in the society. And these are what the young people also pick up from us generally. So it's important to create a safe space whereby the space will not be judgmental about the mental health of those people. That's young people who will come out to talk about it, as well as there must also be an empathy shown towards them. So when they are saying whatever they are saying, we must listen empathetically. And this time around, it has to be done in such a way that it would be a collective and a deliberate effort amongst the society, so that we imbibe the attitude of listening with empathy, whereby we're not judging those people. Because if we don't do that, there will not be more people that will come out and create mental health candor and talk about their mental health related issues, and not sweep their mental health issues under the carpet. So it's important, like I said, to do that. And then another thing that is also important is the fact that more than ever now, we need to be willing to offer support to young people. I mean, we have a whole lot of them who have spoken about their mental health. That's why I know awareness and sensitization is very key and is important, just like we are doing right here using GYMHA platform. And I know GYMHA does a lot, in that regard. And also, we now have to create a form of support for them, so that would be like, when you see that someone gets support, it's an encouragement for other people to come out to talk about that related issue along the line. So like I said, number one is to create a safe space for them to create mental health candor. Number two is to listen to them empathetically. That's listening with empathy, without judging them, without even passing any comment that would discourage them. Because one of the things I used to tell people is the fact that in this space, sometimes it is the listening that is first, before you providing solution or support. Because some people, all they need is just a listening ear, a shoulder to cry on, a hand that will hold them first. And it's important for them to know that you feel what they are feeling, and then you show a form of empathy in that regard. So that will encourage them. So the last one that I spoke about is the fact that support is very important, because when they find out that they are able to get support, they will be free to come out the more, and more people also will learn from that in one way or the other. So that's my take on that. I don't know if Dr. Rania has any other thing to add.
Yes, in general, I want to say that we need to, especially when we talk about the school environment, we need to allow students to discuss trouble events at school or in the community. We need to encourage students to verbally describe their emotions. When we talk about primary school students, for instance, when children are younger, it's important that they understand how there can be changes in their bodies, which are connected to their feelings and thoughts. For example, when our hearts beat quickly, after we have been running, the same is true when we are nervous or scared. So by helping primary school students with these concepts and getting them to think about how feelings and thoughts are linked to behavior, we can then explain how a combination of all these elements affects our mental health. When we talk about secondary schools, school students, we can start a conversation about mental health if we notice changes in a student that concern us. Because these conversations will help us find out if they need support, if these students are having a crisis, or if we need to involve specialist services. So if we work with older children also, it's important that they know it is okay to ask for help. So speaking about mental health regularly, this is something that could help the students understand that we all have mental health issues and that there is no stigma in talking about it. So conversations about mental health will be more effective, of course, as you said already, in the context of a positive whole school environment. An environment where there is a sense of belonging and students are encouraged to talk to the staff about worries and difficulties. When these children have been taught about good social and emotional skills and they are able to identify feelings, thoughts, and emotions, when also schools can introduce strategies and things like what we call worry box, or this assigned what we call time to talk sessions, so that students have a clear route to initiate this, to start a conversation without feeling pressured. We can ask, for instance, some questions. You don't seem your usual self today. Would you like to talk about anything? Or you look sad or worried today? Do you want to have a chat about it? So it's important, of course, first of all, to find an appropriate time and relaxed place to have a conversation, a safe place, as you said. If a child discloses in class, we can offer empathy. We can invite them to talk in a safer, more private setting and talk to us or to other expert about how the situation should be managed. If we invite a young person to tell about the issues, we should be clear what will we do this also with this information, because we need to consider how you will respond if the child asks you not to tell anyone. This is very, very common. Of course, we need to check with the child if there are other trusted adults, such as parents or the wider family or friends that they have talked to. It's important because here in GYMHA, we try to adopt a community-based approach. I mean that we see holistically all this chapter of mental health disorders, and all the members of communities should be involved. Parents, local communities, experts, teachers, everyone should be involved because it's a multi-layered and very complex case. Another thing that we need to check is also check our body language so that the child knows that we are focusing on them. And take sure that seriously what they are saying. We don't need to overreact, but we don't try to minimize or dismiss what they're saying. Ask proper questions to encourage them to talk. Of course, be calm and acknowledge their feelings. And we need also to remember that we are all different, and students and children are different. They have their own rhythm, their own interests, their own traumas, and their own different experiences. Yes, the first step should be a safe and private setting. And of course, we need to ensure ensure a child that there is trust and that he or she can confide in us and she can trust us.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely well said, Dr. Rania. And one thing that you said I was very striking about, putting it in as part of what those young people learn in school. And I find that very, very important, because if it's part of the structure of what they grow up with over a period of time. I mean, I was asking, how do I know well about physical education? Because it's part of the school curriculum. Everyone learns about it while you are in the basic school, the primary school, the secondary school as well. So mental health, the time has come that somehow it has to be part of our school curriculum, because what the young people learn at that time becomes part of them. Remember, the first marketplace is the mind. So when it becomes part and parcel of their mindset at that tender age, they grow with it, and then they imbibe almost all the knowledge they have learned over that period, and then they begin to practice it. So it's very valid what you said, and it takes like a very deliberate approach whereby the government, the school authority, the regulatory bodies, they should look into it and make mental health become part of so many institutions. I mean, we're talking about young people and even the older generation as well, making it part of the workplace, policies. So this will help a lot in creating a formidable mental health architecture in our society. But I want us to see how we'll talk about some resources that are very important, you know, for mental health engagement of the youth. So I don't know if you have some tips around that, Dr. Rania.
You mentioned about the school curriculum. Unfortunately, here in Greece, we have introduced a new cognitive discipline which is called skills of labs, and it contains STEM, it contains robotics for the first time, environmental awareness, many thematic sessions, but mental health is missing. And it's it's not good because we are the threshold of the fifth industrial revolution, and technology should go along with the human factor. So yes, we need to, of course, to help students develop their digital skills, but at the same time, we need to focus on their mental health. So this is a great step for countries to introduce, to integrate to the school curriculum mental health issues, because so far this happens sporadically. So very important, some tips is, first of all, what we need, first of all, as experts or teachers, to understand our own symptoms and behaviors. So when we are preparing to talk to our child about mental illnesses, to reflect on the symptoms that we experience, the behaviors that your child sees and hears, and how this affect your child is. You can ask these questions: how might your behaviors be affecting the teenager? And how might your symptoms and behaviors be affecting your decisions? And then you can be prepared to talk, to start a conversation like this. You may have been worried about this or noticed this. I'm here to talk if you have any questions or are worried. If you feel, you can come to me. In general, it's very important to ask open questions and to calmly stay with the feelings that arise, and offer empathy. Offer empathy rather than solutions. You don't give solutions. It's not easy to give solutions. You can offer empathy. And also, that's what I said before, we need to give full attention to our child, to keep an eye contact. This is also important. And to focus on the child and ignore any other distraction.
Wow, that's spot on. That's spot on. And what I feel I will add in that regard is the fact that, you know, when we talk about resources to engage the young people, first and foremost, I will talk about what are those things that really drive the attention of these young people. What are those things that get their attention so easily? Because, you know, it's a fast-paced world now, and everything is coming thick and fast. So resources that will definitely get their attention are those things that they gravitate towards easily. You know, so it's now going to take a deliberate effort of engaging them with those things that appeal to them. I mean, I wonder how the entertainment industry has grown so fast now, because it keeps coming at them. So how about making mental health movie? How about making mental health music? How about being deliberate about things that will get the attention of these people? Because, you know, the screen hour has increased, you know, drastically over a period of time. And we also have to plug in to see and find a way of redirecting their mind and their attention in that regard. So these are some of the things that we could do. Put it in entertainment, put it in things that appeal to them, put it in arts and culture, draw mental health related things and put it, and then let there be an exhibition for people to see how important it is. Because somehow what they see, what they listen to, what they watch over a period of time becomes part of their subconscious. So, and then they easily now act those things out. So maybe, I know GYMHA is doing a lot. So this might just be a tip now. We need a movie from GYMHA about mental health, and people will go to the cinema to watch. And then when they watch it, it doesn't just go that way. Over time, it remains with them and it becomes a project. So these are some of the resources that I feel we should be. I mean, book is also one of them. We write mental health book, write mental health stories, and people can even come to say their stories. And then we have so many people can package it and make it, you know, and reproduce it and make it available for all to read. So these are some of the resources we can use to engage young people as regards mental health. Mahmooda.
You're absolutely right, Kunle, and thank you and Rania for keeping that conversation flowing so seamlessly. And you're absolutely right about the tools we're using to engage the youth. You know, it's something I thought about quite recently, and then it came up on my feed somehow. And, you know, we have been exposing the youth for many years to issues around mental health, but the message hasn't been so clear. I'll give you a small example. You know, when we watch a cartoon like Winnie the Pooh, we don't immediately recognize that the characters that they used within Winnie the Pooh were actually representing some sort of dysfunction, some sort of disorder. You've got Tigger, who's hyper, sort of representing ADHD. You've got the one that was so depressed all the time, you know, that was the donkey Eeyore. He had depression. You had anxiety represented in Piglet. So there were all these things that, you know, I think the industries have been trying to put it across, but maybe it's not been coming across so clearly. So what other tips do you have, Dr. Rania, in terms of
Yes.
how do we actually get this message out?
I want to say something about this, that I mean, the most familiar thing right now for students is technology, we all know, and gaming. That's how we need to approach children from their perspective. For instance, here in the ministry, I'm right now in my office in the ministry, we have, we're planning a new, have organized a seminar which is about cybersecurity. And in this workshop, we have integrated a new game, which is a part of a European research project. Through this game contains two parts. The first one is help students to diagnose their profile. There are some questions, and students, according to their answers, they get their profile. If they're shy, if they're over risky, etc. And after they start the game, and there are some scenarios, and according to the scenarios and some options, according to the options that students choose, they enter to new rooms, and there in new rooms they experience things like bullying or drugs or anything which is different. The great part of this game is that we enter, students experience the catharsis, the liberation. So through a game, something which is very familiar and very attractive to students, that we needed to approach them in attractive ways, in challenging ways, through gaming, they enter a solution and they learn a lot about themselves. So first one is this. Another one is that we need to experiment with apps. There are, for instance, I can mention an app which is called Worry Watch, and it's a very powerful tool. It's an app available for teens and their parents and even adults who suffer from anxiety. It's an app which serves as a way to self-monitor and keep track of someone's anxious thoughts. It contains a series of thought options from a prefixed menu, and a visual graph that depicts the different reasons why a person has been anxious. And then the team is able to assess whether the actual anxious thought was bad as an actual outcome. So this app works as a therapist. Actually, can be helpful to students or adults who are willing to identify thoughts and review them. So, with the aim of the technology, and of course the aim of social media, you can find also many resources and many centers that can help students. We can help students, first of all, to have a clear image of themselves, because if they don't know what is exactly the problem, or they are in denial, they will never be able to solve the problem. So first of all, they need to realize the problem. And secondly, we need to help them, to encourage them to ask for solution. How I mentioned about technology, schools also can offer resources, some useful websites, or teachers can organize many important lesson plans that could involve mental health disorders through experiential learning. I mean, there are many experiential games that we as teachers can organize in our lesson plans. So there are many, many various ways that we can help children, not in a traditional way as therapists, but more, more fun gaming.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So much to take away from you right there. And, it hit me when you said, they need to realize the problem first. And then you spoke about all the different tips and ways we could do it, to experimenting with the arts and technology. These are the really key issues, as Kunle said earlier, talking movies and music, things that really target the youth. Because we all know that early positive engagement is really vital because it builds positive social and emotional and thinking and communication skills and behaviors. So this is why it's so important to engage the youth at a very early stage. Something that came to mind
sorry
earlier.
sorry
Yes,
to
Rania?
interrupt you. I want to highlight that this game I mentioned before, which is a part of a research project, the Horizon European program, costs $1 million, and 17 partners organizations have been involved with experts from police, from hospitals, psychologists. It's a huge project, and all these partners created this game because they can realize that the only way to approach nowadays children is like this. So insist on how we can use technology in order to help them with the mental health disorders. I insist on this.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that there's so much effort being put into it from your end, and I'm hoping that other governments will mirror this sort of effort. I'm not sure what you're seeing on the ground, Kundi. Are you seeing buy-in from government organizations and schools and everybody that supports the youth? Are you seeing buy-in in terms of investing into getting the message out there to the youth?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I have a very, very great experience in Nigeria, my country. When I got into the mental health space a couple of years ago, I think around 2017, one of the things that I keep profiling as part of the solution is for the government to create, bills and laws that will support mental health, to create the architecture that will now make the private institutions become part of this, sector. So it's very important. And because when government involvement comes in, then it sets the ball rolling. When there are policies that will promote mental health, both for the young and for the old, it becomes like the playing ground for every other thing to thrive. Then it talks about.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. It's imperative that we have it across the board as well, and it's important to educate yourself and others about even the warning signs and symptoms of struggle and mental illness. Kunle, do you want to finish up on that thought? We lost you as you were finishing up.
Yeah. So, I was saying when it becomes a policy, then it's easier. Everything thrives from that perspective, and then it becomes part of every other institution. So that's very valid, Mahmooda.
Thank you so much. We've run out of time though. So just before we leave, I'm going to give each speaker, Rania and Kunle, a chance at a parting shot. What is it? What is the message in this moment? What message do you want to give to the youth? Maybe a message of hope or a message, I don't even know. Rania, what are your thoughts as a parting shot to the youth and all the players around the mental health arena?
my message would be, don't be afraid to ask help. And especially if we talk about the students, about a classmate. And I know that there is culture here in Europe that it's not my business, I don't care about my friend, what happens. So we need to cultivate this culture, this feeling of volunteerism, service learning, and these values of compassion, of trust, because unfortunately, at least here in Greece, we don't have developed this culture of service learning and how it's important to help others. And I appreciate really GYMHA because volunteerism is something, is a message for me that should be spread everywhere. In Europe, especially in Greece, in my country, nobody does volunteering. It's something very important that needs to be spread. So don't be afraid to ask for help and leverage all any NGO or any other volunteer organization that can help you. This is my message.
Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us and giving us of your precious time for this cause that we are all so passionate about. Kunle, your parting words to the youth, to the people helping the youth and everyone involved in this space.
Okay, thank you so much, Mahmooda. Now, for young people who are watching from different part of the world, I want you to know that your mental health is very, very important. I mean, most of the young people are so, they care so much about the physical health. They hit the gym, building 6 packs and the rest. So the time has come for you to take your mental health as important as your physical health as well. Because as that saying goes, there is no health without mental health. So as you are building 6 packs in the gym, trying to get the good shape, which is very important, which is valid, there's no doubt about that. But try as much as possible to build your mental pack as well. And one of the ways of doing that is to seek for help whenever you're having mental health related issues. Seek for help, reach out to people. Do not try to die in silence, because asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Prioritize your mental health, and then every other thing will follow. Thank you.
Wow, absolutely. I want to thank you, Kunle and Rania. You have just been amazing today. I want to thank the audience that have joined us. I see a lot of people chiming in from Nigeria. This program was brought to you by Global Youth Mental Health Awareness. I am Mahmooda Khan, your host for today. We were joined by Dr. Rania Lampou from Greece and Kunle Palemo, no stranger to the GYMHA activities. Tough times are, around us all, and everybody is essentially flawed. So you are not alone. And no matter how tough things get, please don't forget to keep going, because together we can do this and reach out for help, as Rania said. I wish you all a really pleasant day from wherever you are joining me from. Please do take care. Reach out to GYMHA if you need any more information. You can reach us at jude@gymha.org, I think. And thank you very much for spending your morning. Well, I'm in Zimbabwe, so it's morning on my end. Thank you very much for spending the last 45 minutes with us. I wish you a very good day. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation. Bye.
Thank you.